I'm going to give you my hottest, spiciest, most elite writing tips to get over writer's block. Hello, welcome to day 19 of the Writer Diaries. My name is Tiana, or Tiana, which is with a J, and today we are coming to you from my balcony, and by we I mean me. If you hear kids screaming or my neighbors talking, I would like to apologize in advance. It is simply unavoidable. Now, I got a comment on, I think it was my day 15 writer diary, and somebody requested that I make a video on how to overcome writer's block. And so today I'm going to give you my hottest, spiciest, most elite writing tips to get over writer's block. It's a good thing that it wasn't requested that I make a video on how to avoid procrastination, because if that was the case, I would have had to make this video 6 months from now. I made a little list of the tips that I use to get over writer's block, and I'm going to start with like a little confession, which is that I don't think I actually get writer's block, to be honest. Procrastination, yes, 100%, but like writer's block, not really. I mean, I've got like 10 different novels, 11, 12 in the works that I'd like to write. I feel like writer's block in a way does not really affect me, because it's just, I don't know, I seem to have a million ideas all the time. But I will share my tips on what works for me to get me in the writing mindset, writing zone, whatever you want to call it, and hopefully you guys will also find some of these useful. And so, as I've already mentioned in a previous video, and I'm going to harp on this for like the rest of my life, is that number one, you have to engage the muse. Okay, what do I mean by that? It means that if you write every day or somewhat consistently, you're probably gonna get more ideas. You're probably just gonna have ideas on what to write, because your brain is constantly kind of in writing mode, even in the background when you're doing other things, because it's something that's important to you, so you're constantly thinking about it. And then, I don't know, you might be washing dishes and then you figure out how to get over that plot hole that you've been spending days on trying to fix. So you have to take your writing seriously. Not to say that people who get writer's block don't take it seriously, but I think that if you treat it as a priority and something that's important to you, your brain will automatically work on creating solutions that you come across. Tip number 2 that I have is to reread sections that you've already written, either in that project you're working on or in another project. And for me, I do this for sections that I really like that I've written. So in a bunch of my projects, I have, let's say, favorite scenes or favorite parts of scenes, and I just love how they turned out. It's like one of those moments where you think to yourself, wow, I can't believe I wrote this. And so I like to go back and reread those sections, because they remind me that, wow, okay, actually I am a good writer. They remind me that why I like the project that I'm working on, and then they just motivate me to continue working on it, because I'm like, wow, I actually want to finish this. I got to write what happens before this or after this, and it's just, I find it just renews my energy in my own ability to work on this project. Tip number 3, which is pretty obvious if you've ever heard any writer talk ever, which is read books. There's obviously a bunch of reasons why you should read books, and read fiction books. You need to read books that are fiction, because, well, if you're writing a fiction project, obviously, or if you're writing nonfiction, read nonfiction, because even if you don't analyze exactly what you're reading consciously, you will like subconsciously absorb like writing style and writing techniques, and it's just, you're like a sponge in that way, in that you will take in how to write well, even though you might not necessarily be trying to do so. So read lots of fiction, read lots of different authors, because everybody has their own different style of doing things. Read stuff like short stories or poetry. You just have to feed your brain with the food for writing, which is the written word already. Tip number 4 is something that I do 90% of the time, which is listen to music that inspires the project that you're working on. Like, I know some people prefer silence. That's great. I can write in silence. Depends on how I'm feeling, but there are times, which is most of the time, that I curate playlists that are fitting for the project that I'm working on, and I very specifically use instrumental music. I cannot listen to words, like music with words, when I'm writing. I need to listen to instrumental stuff. Curate some sort of playlist that fits the vibe of the project that you're working on, and I only listen to that music when I'm working on that particular project. So it's not like music I listen to when I work out or I'm on the bus or wherever. It's strictly only for that particular project. And so when I listen to, it's like a switch in my brain that, okay, hey, we're working on this particular project, and it just, gets me in the mode for whatever project that I'm working on. Tip number 5 is that if you've been out of the writing habit for a while, you're not really sure where to start, you're feeling overwhelmed. This happened to me a couple months ago, and this is what I started with. I set an absolutely low bar for myself. I'm like, I know that I can hit 200 words a day. That's like half a paragraph, or a paragraph, depending on how you look at it. But it's such a low goal, and it's achievable for me in like 20 minutes, sometimes less. And so I did that for a month, which seems pretty crazy now that I look back at it. But I just needed something to track to get me back on track for writing my project. I needed a goal that I knew was attainable, that would help me build consistency, and that would prove to myself that, hey, I actually can do this. So whether it's a word count goal, whether it's a time goal, like you're going to write for 15 minutes every day, or whether it's a certain number of pages, like whatever metric works for you, use that, and use that as a guiding principle as you're trying to get back into your writing. And that goes into the next tip, which is number 6, and that is to visually track your progress. I loved when I did NaNoWriMo for the first time on their website, how they had, you could input word count goals, and it had like all the different graphs that would keep track of your word count. So just like that, the dot graph, like it would obviously like go up and down depending on how many words you read every day and like how close you were to 50,000. It had the bar graph showing again how close you were to 50,000 words, and adjusted your required word count goal if you were writing more than you should. And so I loved seeing that bar graph grow. I loved seeing my daily word count drop as I wrote more and more. Like, it's just, seeing that progress in front of you is just such a strong reminder of what you're working towards, but also the success that you are having on the way to getting there. And so now what I do is I have Readsy, which tracks how many words I write every single day. And then I personally also, because I do still write across multiple projects, I, in a notebook with a pen and paper, because I like things analog and I like to keep it simple. I don't do Notion, I don't do Excel, there's nothing over here. So I literally just put the date and the number of words written next to it, and that's it. Super, super simple, but every time I open that page and I see the number of words I've written, and I calculate it at the end of the month, and I'm just like, oh, I love seeing this. So track your progress visually in whatever manner works for you. Tip number 7 would be, if you're struggling on a particular section or chapter, and I've talked about this in previous videos, is I honestly just skip over it, especially in a first draft, although I'm kind of doing that in my second draft too, just not nearly as much. But if something's not working, I just skip over it and I will come back to it and connect things later. I know for some people they wouldn't do that, but I would rather write a section that I know I can write and get my words in, and again build up my momentum and go back to a section, than like spend 2 hours staring at my computer screen wondering how I'm supposed to write something and it's just not going. And usually what happens for me is that the next day, when I have like taken a break from that little piece or chapter or whatever, I actually can just finish it the next day. It's like my brain, for whatever reason, I don't know, needed a break from it and needed to focus on something else, and then it's ready to come back to it. So jump around. No one's going to know what order you wrote your book in, if you wrote the ending first or last, or if you wrote chapter 13 before you wrote chapter 10. Like, nobody's ever going to know that by the time the book is published. So it's a future problem. If something's not working out, just deal with it later. Like, that's literally my philosophy. Tip number 8 would be do other activities that take your mind off writing but still engage you creatively. So this would be like paint something, draw something, I don't know, even go cook something. I would never do that personally, oh my god, but like just do something that still can like flex that creative muscle, but it's not writing related. You can still use that same energy and you're making something. But if you're not somebody who wants to be a painter like me, I don't care. I'm not so focused on making the most perfect painting out there, because it's not really something that interests me, and I know I suck at it. So I'm not too worried about it if, I try to paint a flower and it ends up looking like a Jackson Pollock painting. Do something that can still have your brain be in a creative mode, but it's just in a different avenue. And then this also kind of goes into like, let yourself be bored. So, our brains like to think of problems in like the back of our minds, and so do things that are boring. Go wash dishes, go vacuum, I don't know, go for a walk if some people think walks are boring. Like, just do something that gives your brain time to rest and doesn't require a lot of it. Like, I can sit there and wash my dishes and I don't have to think about it. It doesn't require a lot of brain power, and then I can just let my brain wander and think about my book or different ways to write certain things until maybe eventually I come across a solution that's going to work. Tip number, I think this is 9 or 10, I'm losing track, is to talk to other people about your projects. And so again, make sure this is like somebody you trust or a group of people that you trust. So, people in your real life, your parents, siblings, friends, people who genuinely want to hear about what you're working on. And then as you talk about it, or maybe a problem that you're going through, you might, end up talking your way into a solution, or maybe somebody offers you an idea that you hadn't thought of before. You can find friends online. There's Discord servers, talk to people on Instagram, or I want to say Facebook, but I don't know how many people are still using Facebook. But like, there's writing groups online on all social media platforms. There are in-person meetups as well. I've gone to them before. You've got on websites like Meetup and Eventbrite, or just, again, maybe if you live in a city with a writer tuber or somebody, they might even organize events. So you can find little writing communities to be a part of that will help you also become inspired by other writers that are there with you, but then also you're talking to people and you are just, again, engaging with your project in a slightly different way. Tip 11, I guess? What really helped me during my first NaNoWriMo was writing sprints. I used to do them a ton in my writing Discord community in my city, and it became like I'm a little bit competitive, so for me, I love doing a writing sprint and seeing if I could write more words than I did the last time. If I was writing with somebody else, like, did I get more words than them? Depends. I mean, don't go crazy with it, because there's some writers who can, in like 25 minutes, they can write like 600 words more. Some of the writers in my writing group, it was insane how much writing they were able to just, their output was crazy. And so I wasn't really competing with them, but it was still like a motivator for me to just see how much I can get done in 20 or 25 minutes. And I still do that now when I do my Pomodoro sessions. I'm like, 10 minutes has passed, I have this many words, I want to make sure I have, 300 words by the end of this Pomodoro session. And I'm like, racing against myself to get the words down. Tip number 12, somebody's probably going to hate me for this, but it works, so just trust me. I'm definitely part of the if you exercise, you will feel better gang. So literally, please go work out. I don't care what you do, just go do it. Like Pilates, go for a run, lift some weights, go horseback riding. I don't care what it is, just get off your butt and go work out. Like the amount of times I have come home after a workout and I have so much energy, even if I work out in the evenings and outside, regardless of the weather. Like my training group is kind of insane, not even gonna lie, but I love it. And the amount of times I have come home at like 9 p.m., I'm full of energy, and the only thing I want to do is sit down and write. I just start thinking about my book on the way home, and I'm thinking like what's happening next, what's already written, what do I need to happen, and I start piecing it all together, and by the time I'm home, I'm like, I just want to sit down and write. It doesn't always happen, but it helps, and it's gonna make your life better in general. So yeah, go work out, guys. You'll feel so much better. And so these are all the little tips that I have for overcoming writer's block. Tell me which of these is your favorite, and if you have a tip that I didn't mention, please leave it in the comments, because I also might find it very useful. And if none of these help you, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do for you. I'm kidding. Writer's block is a temporary thing. You can get over it, and it's just sometimes in a way of tricking your brain into thinking that you can do the thing that it's been avoiding. And so I hope that you enjoyed today's little writer diary, and the fact that it was more of an advice video today. If you guys have any other topics you would like me to cover, please let me know, and I will see you in the next video. If you like this video, you already know what to do. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!